We're just south of Lake Wales, Florida. We're in the northbound lanes. This is on the satellite project just as 124135 was. And in this section we've got 1.5 inches of asphalt concrete and 8 inches of lime rock base. We are at station 1079 plus 75. This is section 5-A of the Lake Wales Satellite Test Road project. This was selected because it had the lowest, or one of the lower ride qualities of any of the ones that we had done, or that they had done in the summary that I saw. It also had a pretty high level of rutting here. Just as the other section, this is going to receive about a 4-inch overlay within the next 2 years. And so we decided to select this one either as an adjunct to GPS or just as part of it. It'll fit into one of the design cells without any question. This is not as thin or not as extreme a pavement structure as what we saw before. It's not that unusual, I guess, in terms of the lime rock thickness, although the asphalt is a little bit thin on this in comparison with most of the sections constructed in Florida, or typical construction in Florida. Walked up on the top of over on the near the right-of-way line, and I'm up on top of the area. We're in a little bit of a cut section, as you can see. Showing a panorama, you can see the southbound lanes over there, and then here's the northbound lanes we're working in. Got a driveway right behind us leading up to a house. Looking all around, live oak trees, palmetto, another oak tree. Looking back down the test section now. I'm going to stop it and move on down to the end of the test section and work my way backwards to show some of the distresses and to give an overview of the test section. On the shoulder this way. Okay, right here, this is actually the beginning of test section 5A here for Florida. Their test sections are 475 feet long. I don't know if I mentioned that back at the other one. And we have the first 25 feet of ours in the transition area. What we'll probably be doing, I reckon, is to sample right at the end of the test section here in order to get a good representation of thicknesses within the section. As you can see, there's some amount of patching through here. I'm around station 0 plus 70 where I stand. It looks like this is a joint here where the construction ended for the day. You see a patch over there in the inside wheel path right there. One thing interesting that I'll try to show as I'm working my way back towards the beginning of the test section is how the crack pattern is somewhat different than it was before. We don't have quite as much, or so it seems, quite as much alligator cracking in here, but most of it, or much of it, is within 2 feet of the inside lane line, which is interesting. And it tends to be of a higher severity there than it is in the outside wheel path. There is some cracking, alligator cracking, starting to develop fairly close to the center of the lane also. You'll be able to see some of what I'm talking about right over there. Around station 1 plus 95, I should say. You see in the outside wheel path, the alligator cracking tends to be within a foot of the outside lane edge also. The reason I picked this section was because of the condition level which I saw in the summary which I was provided up at the TRB meeting. This was one of the sections which had some of the worst distress. It was not the worst from a cracking and patching standpoint. However, it was in very bad condition from a roughness standpoint, and it had a fairly high level of rutting. One of the reasons which you may be able to see moving down the road in front of us is a truck hauling the crop on up for processing. Not only do we have citrus producing and processing here, we also have phosphate mining. So we can have some awfully heavy loads. And we're far enough north in the state where they have had to do some emergency hauling of the citrus crop after some freezes that they have had in the past 5 or 6 years or so. So this section's had some very, very heavy loads, as has the section that we did earlier today, and the one we'll be doing this afternoon, which is out of the test section area on this project. I'm not going to highlight too many distresses right now, and I will do that as I'm working my way back down towards the beginning of the test section. Need to point out another little landmark here, which breaks some of the rules, but it's better to have something like this where you do have an extreme in distress that's going to be overlaid rather than lose it because we've got a pipe going across. Coming up to the end of the test section. The yellow marks here indicate the end of the Florida test section, and as you can see, they are right together with ours. Getting a little bit brighter conditions looking this way. You can see the cracking in the outside wheel path, or possibly even outside of the outside wheel path. It's over running about typically throughout the length of the test section about a foot in from the lane line there. You probably pick that up here on the tape. Path where we've got cracking running typically within 2 feet of the lane line. It's quite an interesting pattern. And as I mentioned before, we have some alligator cracking starting to develop. It's at low severity now, obviously, but this is in between the wheel paths. I'm standing here right around station 4+85. Moving up ahead, all the patches here are in pretty good condition. I rated them all as being low severity and estimated the area